Function with Purpose podcast. All things health, wellness, fitness, and education through the physical therapy perspective. I am Dr. Amy Bullock, owner and founder of Fortress Physical Therapy. Fortress PT is here to serve the Charlotte metro area by highlighting the importance of how and why physical therapy should be a part of your health and wellness lifestyle. Here we go. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of the Function with Purpose podcast. Dr. Amy here today, again with you guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good evening into the midnight leading up to the morning. Anywho, gonna just straight dig into today's topic. I've talked about this a little bit into the past, but I want to remind you guys about this particular topic. Rating of perceived exertion, aka RPE. The importance for tracking the effort output during exercise or even physical therapy exercises. Why should someone use RPE levels? Rating of perceived exertion. So it helps gauge your effort levels based on your energy balance. So your exertion level for one day, if you're feeling pretty good and pretty recovered, lots of energy, might be higher than opposed to another day during the week where perhaps your energy levels might be a little bit lower. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe there's other stressors. So some questions to consider to see where you may fall on that RPE spectrum in order to maybe perhaps get into your exercise for the day. How are you going to attack your exercise training plan for the day, or even physical therapy exercises? Because believe it or not, I do. I personally incorporate RPE, rating of perceived exertion, into the training application in therapeutic modalities, therapeutic exercises for my patients that I personally program for. So this helps me gauge their efforts in accordance to the particular exercise that I prescribe that particular patient if we're looking at the physical therapy route. So some questions to consider on where you may fall on that RPE spectrum is, how rested do you feel? How rested do you feel today, going into today, attacking your priority list, and obviously making sure that your health and wellness and fitness is a part of that, which then in turn, sleeping. How much sleep? What is your quality of sleep that you got that night before, leading up to how rested you feel today? How recovered? So what are some activities or aspects that you utilize from the day prior in order to help you feel more energized and recovered for today's bout of exercise or your priority list that you're going to tackle today? So this might include water hydration levels, being able to control any external or perhaps some internal stressors. So are your stress levels in check? And another big thing is breathing or some slight meditation. Now this is something personally that I'm trying to get into, is just incorporating nose breathing or nasal breathing throughout the day to help calm my nervous system down. So there's many different things to consider in order to determine how much effort or perceived exertion you can apply within a physical therapy exercise program, or even your exercise training routine or program that you have scheduled today. So for RPE, rating of perceived exertion, I like to kind of use this scale, especially in the PT world. 0 meaning, just walking around, normal daily routine. You're cooking dinner, you're working at your computer, so not a lot of effort has to be put into that. All the way up to 10. So 0 to 10 spectrum. 10 meaning, okay, you are 100% into your workout regimen. Your heart rate is high. Your breathing is high. It's hard for you to burst out words when you're speaking to someone. So from the physical therapy perspective, especially when we are working on lower threshold exercises, you should never be in that 100 or that 10 out of 10 on that spectrum of perceived exertion. I should never expect a patient to be on that higher end of the RPE scale. Now, if we flip this over to exercise training, usually you can kind of coincide with a 0 to 10 scale or a percentage scale, so 0% to 100%. And I love this scale that I found and actually have been utilizing within patients and athletes that I do train for and program for specifically, as well as my own training routine. Now, I'm not sponsored by this particular group of people, but I outsource my own programming through Functional BodyBuilding. They are located on the West Coast. And they put out a post a couple weeks back on the exertion talk test. So say I have a workout that might be semi-hard today. How am I going to apply my exertion for that level, right? So and I'll link this into today's podcast, but there's an example of 50% all the way up to 100. So 50%, based on this talk test that was recommended, 50% effort is you can recount a TV episode. So basically just normal talking effort throughout the day. So when you're working at 50%, you should be able to literally have a conversation with someone without getting shortness of breath. Go up to the 75% scale, you should be able to provide a full sentence to someone based on your exertion level. So if you're on the bike and your perceived exertion or talk test, in this case, you're able to fully say a sentence without getting out of breath, you're kind of in the spectrum of 75% effort. Moving up to 80% effort, you should be able to talk 3 to 5 words or answer a question in 3 to 5 words. Not a full sentence, but 3 to 5 word range. That's about an 80% talk test exertion level. Moving up to 85%, you're able to respond with 1-word answers. So heart rate's getting higher, you need more oxygen, etc. And then if you get in that 90 or above, 90% is usually can't really say 1 words to people. Your effort is definitely high. You can maybe give yes or no with head nodding based on if someone were to ask you a question. Then we dump into kind of this 95% effort. You are zoned in. You can't look up from your activity. Your heart rate's very high. You can't even get a word out. It's kind of, I'm focused on my effort level to be high in this 95% range. Then getting up to this 100% range very rarely is hit unless you are in competition style or competition atmosphere. That is quote unquote known as the blackout mode. So you are 100%, you can't talk, you can't look up and see who's talking to you. You are just all out 100% effort. So I kind of like to think of this as a 100-meter dash. So, something within 10 seconds or less, short, strong, high power output. And then by the time you finish that activity, you just want to roll over and kill over. Now, I do not recommend being in those higher percentage efforts unless you're in true competition mode. But this exertion talk test can also help guide you through your RPE for that particular training for that day. Your effort level should vary throughout the week. We shouldn't be at 95% and higher every time we go in for exercise or training for that day, or even physical therapy exercises, right? So you got to consider some questions and some aspects that lead up to how recovered you are. What were your hydration levels? What are those little daily habits that help carry over to the next day to keep your energy balance in check? So RPE is definitely a great objective measurement to constantly monitor, especially when you're exercising. So I am a huge advocate of tracking RPE, and this is something that I personally use for patients, as well as those patients and athletes that I personally program for. So this helps me not only on their side where they can control their effort output, but it also helps me from a clinician standpoint and from a coach standpoint that for this particular grouping of exercises, maybe I wanted them at a 70% effort or a 50% effort. But from their eyes or from their effort when they actually did the routine, they were at 90. Oh man, that tells me that perhaps Dr. Amy needs to change some things up or give them better verbal guidance on their effort level, on how to attack that particular exercise regimen for the day. So just some two thoughts. If you're wondering, oh, how should I attack this workout today? Or, what do I have left in the tank for the day? Get a scale, and 0 on one end of the scale, 10 on the other, right? We definitely want to not be in that 9, 10 scale all the time. We do want to tap into that at certain aspects, but a lot of things that we do are going to be in that 50 to 85% range. And you should be able to see variety in that and experience variety in that. So hopefully you can take the RPE exertion level or the talk test like I just explained with you wherever you may go within your training regimen. And so if you're looking for some guidance or even some insight on how to start to build a nice recognition or becoming aware of this, definitely reach out to me. I would love to help. If you feel like you need some programming or have better direction with intention and thoughtful progression with training or even physical therapy, right? Definitely reach out to Fortress Physical Therapy. I would love to help you, and if I can't help you, I can find someone who can. So remember, physical therapy isn't just exercise and bands and getting you out of pain. It's, and then what? Physical therapy should be a part of that and then what process. That's a wrap for today's episode, Function with Purpose podcast. For more information on this episode, please check out the show notes within your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, or drop your comments and questions below. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks for the listen. Pursuit, precision, purpose.